In this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to craft an offer for a home in Florida. In working with your real estate agent, you're going to want to be honest, and you're going to want to talk about certain things like market conditions, seasonality, risk tolerance, and appetite for risk, and your personality, and what your final end goal is and where you want to get to. Most of these guidelines that I'm going to give you are going to stand the test of time, and it could be good rules of thumbs for all markets. I had a client reach out to me this morning and say, hey, thanks for showing us the house yesterday. We really love it. What would be a good amount to offer on the property? You know, we're in a market right now where we've gone from an extreme seller's market to a buyer's market. And also seasonality plays into this because we're at the tail end of our season in Florida, which is generally, January to Easter. And Easter is March 31st this year, so it's a little bit early. On top of that, we've got this super El Nino weather pattern, which is making the weather up north unusually warm. And so it's less appealing for people to come down and purchase a home in Florida because they have not just totally had it up to here with the amount of snow that they've been shoveling. So, taking into consideration the market conditions, which we just talked about, and seasonality, we're going to look at the facts. What are the comparable sales, the comps as we call them? So for this particular home, it's in a development with almost 1,000 homes, and they're all built within a range of about 15 years of each other, and very nice, beautiful community, master planned. So I started to isolate what are the key features of this home that make it different than the other homes. In this case, it's a single family home. It's on a lake and there's no pool. The home was built in 2020. It does not have impact rated windows and doors. It's called an Abbeville floor plan, and that has 2 bedrooms and a den, 2 bathrooms, and a 2-car garage, and it's just under 1,700 square feet. So the first thing I did was look at what's pending, because the pending sales are the pulse of the market. If we see homes that have come on at a higher price and that have gone pending very quickly, or a comparable price and gone pending quickly, then we know that the market is moving. If we see very few pending sales and a lot of active with price reductions, then we know that the market is swinging towards a buyer's market. So in this case, we didn't have a lot of pending data to look at. Now I'm looking at sales over the last year. Typically in a fast moving market, we don't want to do this. We only want to look at sales that have closed within the last 60 days, for example, because an appraiser can only use the last 120 days. So by the time you get it under contract and you have your appraisal done, you're only going to be able to use those homes which are going to close in that period of time that are pending now, or that have closed, in the last 2 months. But in this case, where we have a market that is very stable and 0% average appreciation over the last year and not a lot of activity, just kind of a boring, stable market, I'm going to go back and look over the entire last year, because that's going to give me more data points that I can work with here. So I found 2 homes that were built in the same year by the same developer, and I started to make some adjustments for those. So yes, we look at how much it sold for, and yes, we look at square footage, but more important than the square footage is the number of bedrooms. So if one of those homes had a 3rd bedroom, then I took off an adjustment of $15,000 for that. Both of those homes had 0 corner pocket slider doors, which is a structural engineering feature that is amazing. It's like, that key feature that a lot of people love in the home. That's really cool. And so I happen to know that that's probably about a $15,000 upgrade. I've taken and adjusted for that. The home that we're looking at purchasing is furnished and has $15,000 in upgrades. So we start taking into consideration each of these things in order to find, with several data points, a range of, okay, this is a range of what similar homes have sold for. Now this is the range with the adjustments made for the upgrades, the condition, all of those things in order to get this range. In doing that, we found that the range for this particular home is actually higher than what they've priced it at. So they're aware that it's a buyer's market and they've priced it very well in order to sell. That was a conclusion from that. However, my buyer would like to get a deal, right? So I need to find some other data points that are a lower price so that we can make an argument for a lower price. I found a home that was 2 years older, which was the same floor plan, but it had $10,000 lanai extension versus this one that had a $3,000 extension. It had 8 accordion shutters and 3 motorized storm shutters, like the roll down storm shades, which the permits showed that those are about $13,000. So we've got those adjustments. And then they also have the stack stone detail that was on the front of the home, which is a nice elevation upgrade at the time of the build. We add in all of those upgrades together, and that's about $25,000 in improvements that property had that this one doesn't. But mine had, some more furnishings that were available, and it was also 2 years newer. So we backed that number down and looked at this, the price that they sold for, which was $545,000. So, the other ones were $575 to $600. So that helps to create a case for us. And then, knowing that they're asking $560, we want to make an argument for $545. Maybe we come in at $530. They're offering it for $560. If we could meet in the middle at $545, that would be wonderful. It's not everyone's negotiation style, and it's not always the one I go for, but that's what most people try to do when they're making an offer. They want you to come and meet them in the middle, and so they'll price it that way in order to do that. It's one negotiation style. Another negotiation style is to just hold firm and say, that's how I bought my house. I just say, this is what I'm willing to pay for it, cash, on your terms, whatever you want, take it or leave it. That can also be a very effective negotiation style. It just really depends on your personality, your willingness to take risks, your ability to negotiate hard but eloquently, and also, how badly you want the property. So you don't want to come in too low and offend somebody if you really want the property, but you don't want to overpay either. So I can say above and beyond everything, the best thing that you can possibly do is just be honest with your real estate agent and say, hey, this is what I want to pay. So this is a strategy we're going to take to get there. Your agent is not going to reveal that to the other agent. When you're hiring me, I'm not going to reveal that information. Honesty is the best policy, because if you put on a really hard front to me as your real estate agent and act like, well, I want it for $450, and if they don't want to sell it for that amount, then I'm just going to walk, and then I convey that boundary firmly, like you've told me to convey, and they walk, well, don't come back after the fact and be like, oh, I didn't realize, because now you've lost all credibility. Once you lose credibility with the partner you're negotiating with, then it's done, it's over, because they're going to constantly think that you are bluffing. You can bluff in negotiations with real estate, but you don't want the other party to know that you are a bluffer, because then you lose the power of bluffing. Ultimately, I feel confident that right now is an excellent time to be buying. It's a difficult time to sell, especially coming off the heels of the market that we were in, and sellers are feeling frustrated, and some sellers need to move, and they're pricing their properties right. Others are overpricing it and thinking a buyer will come along and make an offer anyway, which isn't happening. It's an excellent time to be buying a property because you have more options than you've had in the last 5 years. Sellers are negotiable. You're going to be, if you're doing it payment-wise, you're going to max out your purchase amount and get a home at a lower amount with lower taxes, lower insurance and everything. But then when the rates go down in the future, you can refinance, and then your payment amount goes down, or you can shorten your loan period. Real estate purchases are both an art and a science. So there's an art to it in setting the conditions and understanding it and coming up with an offer that is appealing, but there's also a science to it in terms of the numbers have to check out, and they, in most cases, have to appraise. And we need to have something to come back on and say, well, this is why we offered that amount. Working with your real estate agent and being honest and candid and upfront is absolutely the best policy, at least when you work with an agent like me, so that I can help you to the best of my ability.